Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. House Republicans just faced a major setback in their efforts to avert a government shutdown, with all Democrats and 38 GOP members voting against the Plan B spending bill. There's apparently a massive reality check happening inside the Democrat Party, and it's coming from their own people. Lindy Li, a DNC fundraiser, is tearing into the Democrats' delusions about a Kamala Harris comeback and says even some top Democrats are done pretending that everything's just fine. According to a new report from the Wall Street Journal, White House aides had hidden Joe Biden's apparent mental decline from day one of his presidency. The report has Capitol Hill insiders pointing fingers. We have all the details. And Luigi Mangione, the accused shooter of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, appeared before a Manhattan judge for the first time yesterday. And boy, this case is getting weird.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
It was another crazy day on Capitol Hill yesterday. House Republicans just faced a major setback in their efforts to avert a government shutdown tonight. In a surprising defeat, the GOP failed to pass a spending bill that was backed by President-elect Donald Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson. Some are saying this was a crucial test of Trump's ability to rally the Republican majority, and the vote didn't go his way. However, I don't believe this was actually a vote against Donald Trump, but some solid fiscal conservatives in the House just couldn't vote in favor of more debt. And that's what their constituents sent them to Washington to do, right? The bill went down by a vote of 235 to 174, with 38 Republicans joining Democrats to kill the legislation. Not only did the bill fail to meet the two-thirds majority that was needed to fast-track it, but it also fell short of the 218 votes required under normal rules. Now, let's talk about one of the loudest voices in the room, Representative Chip Roy from Texas. Roy didn't mince words. He torched the legislation on the House floor, calling out his fellow Republicans for abandoning fiscal responsibility.
When I ran for Congress in 2018, the debt was $21 trillion. I was just texting with my son back home in Austin, who I haven't seen in quite a long time because I'm here trying to fight for him. When I got through cancer about 12 years ago, I made my promise to my kids that I would do everything I can to save this country. And what we're doing right now is to continue to double down on the things that are destroying the republic. We are going to increase the debt ceiling, not just $4 trillion, that's false. We have spent $4.7 trillion in additional debt in the last 19 months. We're going to increase the debt by $5 trillion. That's what's going to happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid for, because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for. On top of the $200 billion you did for WEP, you guys won't agree with that, but the fact of the matter is $330 billion. Congratulations, you've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing. I am absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It It is absolutely ridiculous.
And you have to admit, don't you, that Chip Roy has a point. The bill would have allowed $5 trillion to be added to the national debt. With $36 trillion in debt already and a $1.8 trillion deficit in 2024, conservatives are rightly saying enough is enough. But this isn't just about numbers. This is about a power struggle within the Republican Party. President Trump pushed for a spending bill that included a 2-year suspension of the debt ceiling, something that didn't sit well with fiscal conservatives in the House. And now we're seeing the cracks in the GOP's ability to unite behind Donald Trump and Speaker Johnson. Democrats, meanwhile, were having a field day. They led chants of saying hell no on the House floor, furious over Trump and Elon Musk getting involved in tanking the earlier bipartisan deal they felt they had with the GOP leadership. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries didn't hold back, accusing Republicans of caving to Trump and Musk and hurting everyday Americans. Speaker Mike Johnson expressed his disappointment after the vote, saying, quote, very disappointing to us that all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures. But let's be honest, it wasn't just about the Democrats. The real issue here is the divide within the Republican Party. And let's not forget the clock's ticking. We're staring down a government shutdown at the end of tonight, Friday night. Speaker Johnson scrambling, huddling with Republicans who voted no to try and salvage another vote sometime today. So where do we go from here? Trump and Elon Musk, they want a cleaner bill with a debt ceiling suspension that doesn't blow up spending. But can Speaker Johnson rally the party and avoid tonight's shutdown? That's the $1 million question. Is this the defining moment of the Republican Party and President-elect Donald Trump's next administration? Some are saying that. Is this a sign of what's to come in the first 100 days of Trump 2.0? We'll see. Elon Musk yesterday sought to blame House Democrats for the failed spending bill, posting on X that Plan B legislation is super fair and it's a simple bill that earned the votes of just 2 Democrats in the House chamber. The new spending bill, which was taken to the floor for a vote by House Speaker Mike Johnson, one day after Musk and President Trump, of course, heavily opposed the first 1,500-page bill, it, of course, failed to clear because not everyone was on board. Just 2 Democrats voted for the legislation, which Musk noted on Twitter. He wrote, a super fair and simple bill was put to a vote and only 2 Democrats in Congress were in favor. He said responsibility for the shutdown rests squarely on the shoulders of House Minority Leader Representative Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, they're just pointing fingers back and forth, aren't they? House Freedom Caucus members regrouped last night, talking about various ideas on how a continuing resolution, or CR as it's known, might be able to pass a House that they could propose to Speaker Johnson. Some members are digging in on the debt limit issue as the shutdown looms tonight. Representative Ralph Norman from South Carolina said, I think Trump wants to shut down. He said that. Johnson said that. Maybe you get it. No bill is better than a bad bill, he said. Norman said after the HFC, the Freedom Caucus meeting, he said that he could back a basic CR, a farm bill with pay-fors, with separate votes that are merged together at the end. He said, I'm not voting for a bad bill. Norman argued that the debt ceiling proposal is the fundamental problem. He said, what's thrown everybody into, and y'all know this, is the debt ceiling. Throwing that in at the last minute, that you can't do, he said. And that seems to be the big sticking point with a lot of the other 38 members who voted against it. By the way, if you want to know who voted against this, the 38 GOP members, go to my website, joeyhudson.com, and just you'll see it. It's the very first article. You can click on it, and I have a list of the 38 who voted against this. Representative Eric Burleson, he's a Republican from Missouri, liked the idea, but said the debt limit hike may be dead on arrival. What he was talking about is Norman had added that what he could envision working in their in the proposal would be from what Representative Thomas Massey had proposed: a separate vote on the CR, a separate vote on farm aid, a separate vote on disaster aid, and a separate vote on the debt limit. And look, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Then everybody has a chance to go on the record of what they support. So where do we go from here? I'm not sure. It's probably too early to tell. We're told that Speaker Johnson left the Capitol last night after this failed vote. So whether or not he'll reconvene members earlier today or this afternoon or when, we do know that the deadline is tonight. Representative Paulina Luna from Florida said a vote was possible sometime today on some kind of CR plan, but said that multiple options were being discussed. She was optimistic a shutdown could be avoided. Yeah, let's just take it up to the very end, to the last hour. Wow. You'd think there's a bunch of kids up there running our country. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. If you've been putting off a visit to PhD Weight Loss, now's your time because it comes with an amazing free gift. Joey Hudson here. During December, the founder of PhD Weight Loss, Dr. Ashley Lucas, is giving the first 100 people to sign up for a consultation a free weight loss and energy supplement bundle. What a great gift. Do what I did. Take control now before heading into the indulgent holiday season. Get a grasp and avoid the holiday pounds. I dropped over 30 pounds and I'm not worried about parties and overeating because my PhD coach taught me coping mechanisms to help me enjoy holiday events without gaining the weight. Best of all, I never took a weight loss drug. I'm not dependent on a prescription. And I was never hungry. PhD Weight Loss is not about depriving yourself. Lose the awful belly fat, gain energy, and avoid weight-related health issues. You will feel so amazing about yourself and truly enjoy the holiday season. PhD Weight Loss. Ask about the free gift when you book your consultation. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or go to myphdweightloss.com. Breaking news from New York yesterday. Luigi Mangione, the accused shooter of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, appeared before a Manhattan judge for the first time. Mangione walked into the courtroom, reportedly wearing civilian clothes, a black quarter zip sweater over a white shirt, tan khakis, and those bright orange prison shoes, as the New York Post reported. He had no handcuffs on, but the sound of ankle shackles could be heard by those who were in the courtroom. The guy, of course, is facing murder charges for allegedly gunning down Brian Thompson, and you'd expect the prosecution to have it together, right? Well, there's a bit of confusion in this case. The New York Post wrote his lead attorney, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, says that she was blindsided by the federal charges being brought against Mangione. Now, this is a veteran lawyer with over 3 decades of experience, saying that she's never seen anything like this in her experience as a defense attorney. She was ready to head to Manhattan Supreme Court for a hearing with Judge Gregory Caro, and then, surprise, she says the feds swooped in and suddenly Mangione's in federal court. You know, what's up with this? Agnifilo says that she doesn't understand how these charges can be so different. In the Manhattan DA's case, the theory behind the murder charge is terrorism and intimidating a group of people. The federal charges, though, they're calling it stalking an individual, which she says are two completely different angles. She's asking, is there one case, 2 cases, 2 investigations? Is there a joint investigation? In court, she then asked the judge for some clarification. She said, is there 1 case, 2 cases or 2 investigations? Is there a joint investigation, she asked. Frankly, I've never seen anything like that, and what's happening here. She told the judge, this is a highly unusual situation that we find ourselves in. She's questioning the logistics regarding the parallel state and federal cases. And it was a bit of a surprise to all court watchers. So let's talk about that. Why are the feds involved? On top of the 11 state charges, the federal case, according to some legal scholars, and it makes sense, could make Mangione eligible for the death penalty because, New York abolished their death penalty back in 2004. So the feds are stepping in to make sure justice is served. If they're successful in prosecuting him on federal charges, he could be put to death. And that's the big twist. And that's what his attorney is objecting to and questioning because it blindsided her. It surprised her. It surprised everybody. In a statement, acting U.S. Attorney Edward Kim didn't mince words. He called the killings a grossly misguided attempt to broadcast Mangione's views. And he nailed it with this, didn't he? This wasn't a debate. It was a murder. You can disagree with what a company does. You can disagree with what a CEO does. But when you take things into your own hands, which it appears this young man did, you can't do that. This case isn't about one man's actions. It's about, or at least yesterday seemed to be about, the dysfunction in our justice system. When state and federal prosecutors can't even coordinate their charges, and look, I agree with his attorney on that. I agree with her being surprised. Now, I think it's quite interesting that the feds are doing this because, any federal case can offer the death penalty. And this never even occurred to me. I never thought that the feds might step in and do this. I just assumed that this young man was probably going to be, based on what we know, was going to be convicted and spend the rest of his life in jail. It never occurred to me that he could be charged with federal crimes. And boy, did he have a bad day when this happened. When state and federal prosecutors are having trouble coordinating their charges, it does make you question the system, though, doesn't it? And when lawyers with decades of experience like this lady are blindsided, there's problems with that as well. And look, I'm not defending the guy. It's just she does have a valid complaint, I think. We'll see. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process, so just buckle up because we're going to be talking about this for quite some time to come. Here's one you don't hear often. A crew of a KLM Royal Dutch Airlines flight from Amsterdam to Mexico City diverted their flight to Bermuda last week after the stench of roughly 100 pigs in the cargo hold became unbearable. Here's the story. KLM Flight 685 left Amsterdam Friday for roughly a 12-hour flight to Mexico City. Instead, after about 7 hours into the flight, the plane landed in Bermuda, according to FlightAware. A spokesperson for LF Wade International Airport, there in Bermuda, said the distinct aroma of 100 pigs traveling in the cargo hold prompted the flight crew to divert to Bermuda for a fresh air break. The 259 passengers and crew, who surely never expected their journey to go hog wild, he said, were processed through immigration and given a room for the night. We're told that the smell reached as far as the cockpit, according to a KLM spokesperson talking to USA Today. The human passengers were given accommodations in local hotels, and they were flown out of Bermuda to Mexico City that following night. The hogs, a different story. They were left in the hands of Bermuda veterinary officials. The chief veterinary officer, Jonathan Nesbitt, told the Royal Gazette newspaper, "We didn't really know what we were in for. On our way to the airport, a report came in saying the captain has reported a lot of pigs, and I'm not joking. I was a little floored when they showed me a manifest of 9,600 pounds of live animals. Eventually, 3 crates were brought out, and we could see fully what we were dealing with. We had about 100 pigs that were around 4 months old." Officials were not concerned about the prospects of the pigs potentially spreading disease, but what they were concerned about were the pigs themselves, because they didn't know when they had last eaten or when they last had water, since they had traveled to the Netherlands via Denmark. So what they did, and they didn't want to break open the crates because that would allow Mexican authorities to reject the shipment. So ultimately, a team dropped some chicken feed into the crates. They gave them some water, put them on another KLM chartered flight, and sent them on their way to Mexico. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. We've all been watching the decline of Joe Biden for the last 4 years. We've seen the signs. We've heard the gaffes. But now we have confirmation of what's been happening behind closed doors. President Biden's mental decline has been covered up from day one of his presidency. This hasn't just happened in the last year or last 2 years. This isn't just speculation anymore either. This is coming straight from insiders, aides, and Democrat lawmakers who have finally spilled the beans to the Wall Street Journal. Here's what we know. From the very beginning, Biden's team built a wall of secrecy around him, according to these officials. They shielded him from the public, controlled his schedule, and kept meetings to a very minimum. Why? Because they knew he wasn't up to the job from day one. We're told that meetings were shifted later in the day because Biden, at 82 years old, has a very limited window of, quote, good hours. By 4 p.m., he's done, they said. And that's on a good day. According to a national security official, if Biden had a bad day, they just pushed everything to the next day. One aide even admitted, and I quote, he has good days and bad days, and today was a bad day. This is the guy who has been running our country, folks, who's running it right now. And we've seen it. We've seen Joe Biden, as he has hosted the fewest press conferences in the modern presidential history. He relies on note cards. He gets confused about names and places. And let's not forget the infamous moments where he trips going up the Air Force One stairs so often that they had to give him a smaller staircase and he had to start wearing tennis shoes. And guess what? They even bought him a Hollywood teacher, Jeffrey Katzenberg, to try to fix Biden's weak, raspy voice, a voice coach. The Wall Street Journal says that they had filtered the news that he received. They would remove negative stories and would not put newspapers in front of him that had negative stories. So he had no idea how unpopular he actually was. So no wonder the guy kept saying, I'm going to run for re-election. He didn't know about some of the polls that showed him with an unfavorable rating at the lowest of any modern day president. I mean, can you believe that? They didn't trust him with reality, so they spoon-fed him some feel-good fluff while his approval rating sank to historic lows. Wow. This is something like you'd see in a movie. We suspected it all along, but now that the Wall Street Journal has done an extensive report, and look, I'm no big fan of the Wall Street Journal, but when you read the article, and let me encourage you to do so if you have access to the Wall Street Journal, they're pretty in-depth with their reporting. And some of their sources appear to be inside the White House. But again, we saw it ourselves, didn't we? I mean, remember the special counsel interview with Robert Hur? Biden pushed for that interview to show that he was, quote, cooperating more than Trump was. The prep for that interview turned into a nightmare, according to staffers. Biden struggled to remember his lines. He forgot key facts, and his energy levels were all over the place, they said. And when the transcript came out, we learned he even forgot the year that his son, Beau Biden, had died. Folks, that's not just a bad day. That is serious cognitive decline. And who's keeping the charade going? Who's been behind all of this? Turns out, as we suspected, First Lady Jill Biden has been pulling the strings, making sure that her husband doesn't go off the rails. The Wall Street Journal says that she's there to cut press conferences short and keep him from getting lost in the chaos of live Q&A questions. Says one source even said Jill's team told them, and I quote, "The more you talk her up, the more you make him look bad." That's how fragile this presidency has been. Now, the White House is pushing back, of course. They're not taking this. They're not accepting the Wall Street Journal's report here. They say Biden's been engaging thoroughly, that he worked closely with his team and with outside experts. But let's be real. Let's think about this. Even some of his own cabinet members, we're told, stopped trying to meet with him because they kept getting rebuffed. They kept being turned away. They knew it wasn't worth their time, so they just stopped trying to meet with their boss. This cover-up is not just embarrassing. It's dangerous. And it really shows us how dangerous our country, or what danger our country has been in these past few years. We're talking about the leader of the free world being shielded, being managed, literally being propped up by his handlers who are more interested in protecting their power than protecting our country. I mean, this is what the 25th Amendment's all about. And evidently, they tried to shield him from his own cabinet, I guess, so that no one would get any ideas. And what about us? What about the American people? We were just left in the dark. No transparency, no accountability, just a carefully orchestrated illusion of leadership so that others could have power, so that his staff, his White House chief of staff, his White House counsel, so that they could keep power. I mean, we've known all along Joe Biden hasn't been running the country, haven't we? But I never dreamed it was this bad. This is a scandal, and it needs to be investigated. And I hope that President Trump and the incoming Trump administration will do that they'll dig a little deeper. I mean, some of these charges sound criminal to me. The American people, we saw through this, though. Biden's decline appeared to be an open secret within the Washington circle. His media, his staff, even the Democrat Party, they seem to know this. And instead of doing the right thing, they chose to hide it. Now we're seeing the consequences of their deception. This is why the 2024 election turned out the way it did. Because people knew what bad shape Joe Biden is in, and they didn't trust Kamala Harris. They knew that she was part of the cover-up. I mean, how are you the vice president of the United States, second in command, and not know that your boss, that the commander-in-chief, is not capable of being in office? How can you do that? And does Kamala Harris ever regain any credibility whatsoever? I say no. I mean, she's out there planning and plotting her comeback. She's done. She is done. And I've got some, I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes, a top DNC fundraiser who agrees with that, who says that Kamala Harris could never raise the money to run again. Donald Trump can't get to Washington soon enough. Now, yes, this has been a rocky week. This has been a bad week for Trump. I hate to say that, but it has been. this whole budget debacle, this could not have come at a worse time. Now, hopefully they're going to get it settled. Hopefully sometime today, the GOP leadership, Donald Trump, and whoever he wants in the room with him, Elon Musk or Vivek Ramaswamy or whoever that is, they're going to sit down and they're going to do what's best for the country. And I got to say, this whole idea of suspending the debt limit, I'm not too keen on that idea. What about you? Text me your comments. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. By the way, President Joe Biden said that he would, of course, attend Donald Trump's presidential inauguration next month, personally confirming that he will be there and rejecting what he called the Republicans' childish game. Now, there's been speculation on whether or not Joe Biden will be there. He told a reporter yesterday in a broadcast on the Midas Touch Network, when asked, he said, "Of course I'm going to attend. The only president ever to avoid an inauguration is the guy that's about to be inaugurated," he said. Now, of course, he's talking about Donald Trump. Trump did not attend the swearing in of Joe Biden as the 46th U.S. president on January 20th, 2021. He was the first president in 150 years to break with a political tradition that is seen as affirming the peaceful transfer of power in the U.S. Trump never conceded his defeat, as you know, and left Washington that day before Joe Biden was sworn in. For this year's handover, for the transition of power this year, Biden, of course, you may recall a few weeks ago, invited Trump to the White House after his November 5th landslide. According to reports of staff, the two had a meeting described by White House staffers as very cordial. His administration has been instructed to follow traditional transition procedures and to cooperate with the incoming Trump administration. Hey, quick reminder here about the Upstate Holiday Light Show. If you're wanting to really get in the Christmas spirit this weekend, run by and see 32 million dancing Christmas lights. 32 million. You heard that right. They have a new location at District Park at the intersection of 123 and 153. They will be open through December the 31st. You can experience the joy of the holidays 7 days a week, rain or shine. Just park your vehicle, enjoy the dancing light show, or drive the track and immerse yourself in the lights. They have a drive-through tunnel. And the kids are going to love the petting zoo. They have a Christmas village. They have the pony corral with more animals than ever before. Carnival rides. They have an enclosed Santa area and a Christmas family tradition. You can find out all the information at upstatelights.com, upstatelights.com. And again, they'll be open through December the 31st. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. On the text line, Tony writes, Joey, every time they talk about passing spending bills to help Americans, what they really mean is they need more money to funnel to Ukraine, because if they were helping us, they would stop spending on crap that we don't ask for and help us. You're right there, Tony. Paul writes, no pay raises, no continuing resolution, no pork, whether GOP or Democrats. Dan says, hey, I listened to the podcast about having a property tax for seniors is a great idea. Maybe they could do a threshold like $750,000 of tax value. Anything under that is tax-free, and anything over that you have to pay some taxes on, because I figure if you can afford a $750,000 house, you should be able to pay some taxes on it. Dan's, of course, talking about my conversation yesterday with South Carolina Representative John McCravey, who says that in next year's session, he would like to see legislators take on the idea of eliminating property taxes for seniors. And I suspect Dan's right. I think we'll probably end up with some type of caps, because I think there's sentiment within the legislature to eliminate some property taxes for seniors. Why not? I mean, you work hard your entire life to buy your house, and as long as there's taxes, you never really own it, do you? We'll see. Thanks for your text, Dan. Albert writes, I urge everyone to contact their congressional representatives and state no to the passage of the spending bill and shut down the government. Albert wants our federal government to shut down tonight, doesn't he? Texter, Joey, the Dems in our country need only coal for Christmas. They are evil to the core, and this should be clear to anyone with an IQ of a gnat. Shut the government down till spending is under control. Your comments are welcome as well. On the MyPillow message line, Ray says,
G'day, Joey. It's Ray from Seneca. I just saw Susan Collins and Murkowski both on TV, and if there were ever better visuals of why we need term limits, I haven't seen them yet. So who knows what's in this bill? Hopefully it's good. We'll just have to wait and see. And by the way, Epstein did not kill himself. See you, bye.
Thank you, Ray, and your comments are welcome on the MyPillow message line as well. 864-477-JOEY. Just call and let me know what's on your mind. 864-477-5639. And when you go to MyPillow.com, always use promo code Joey. Take advantage of some of the great Christmas extravaganza sales right now, like the My Slippers, typically $119.98, on sale right now when you use promo code Joey for $59.98. Their 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, so better get them fast. $29.98 with promo code Joey. They have all kinds of products that are being discounted for the Christmas extravaganza. Not finished with your Christmas shopping yet? Take a look at MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4059. Check out the duvets, the quilts, the down comforters, and, of course, the pillows. MyPillow.com. Use promo code Joey. There's a massive reality check, we're told, taking place within the Democrat Party, and it couldn't happen at a better time. It's coming from their own people. Lindy Li is a DNC fundraiser, and she's tearing into what she calls the Democrats' delusions about a Kamala Harris comeback. Even some top Democrats are done pretending everything's fine, according to Ms. Li. She was on Fox News yesterday. She slammed the idea that Kamala Harris could somehow stage a political comeback in 2026 as California's governor, or even another run for president in 2028. And she didn't hold back. Here's what she said.
Thank you for having me. Sure. This is not what America wants. November 5th was a decisive defeat for the Democratic Party. She lost every single swing state. It wasn't a squeaker like it was in 2016. This was a resounding defeat. And right now, Kamala Harris is indulging in delusions of running for governor of California, possibly in 2026, or even president again in 2028. America has said this is not what we don't want to be coconut pilled. We do not want Kamala Harris. We don't want failed border policies. And I feel like I'm liberated and I can finally tell the truth that the Democrats completely failed on the border. Title 42 was a tremendous mistake, and no one is willing to say that. And you shouldn't be called bigoted or racist because you want strong borders for the United States. And you should be able to say that the economy was ailing under the Biden-Harris administration, that price hikes did indeed happen, but they denied that for the first 3 years of the administration. And when they finally did something, it was too late.
Now, folks, that's the cold, hard truth, isn't it? It wasn't a close call. It was a crushing defeat. And yet Kamala Harris and her supporters are still dreaming of future runs for office. Lee called it out for what it is, delusions. And she's right, isn't she? Lee even added that America is sick and tired of the Democrats' failed border policies and says she feels liberated to finally be able to speak the truth. And for daring to do that, she says she's been ostracized by her own party. She talked about losing thousands and thousands of followers on some of her social sites because the Democrat Party has counseled her. She put it perfectly in, she says, in a cult, you can't tell the truth. And here's when it gets even better. Li took aim at the left's obsession with woke culture wars, and when asked by why other Democrats have not been speaking up, she had this to say.
Afraid of being canceled because the cancel culture in the Democratic Party, and I experienced it this week when I said there was a stench of loser hanging over the Democratic Party. You know what they called me? The W word, the C word. I lost tens of thousands of followers because I dared to tell the truth. Because in a cult, you can't tell the truth. You can't ask any questions. But I'm done with that. But he's totally right. And I'm probably going to get canceled again for what I'm about to say. Men are men and women are women. And it's an issue when men are trouncing women in women's sports. This should not be a controversial take. This is common sense. And the American people understand that the Democratic Party, they exist in their ivory towers that are so far removed from reality. And these ridiculous wars are not what Americans care about. We care about bread and butter issues. We care about putting food on the table, sending our kids to school, strong borders, not having millions of people rush through the border. And I'm a naturalized immigrant myself. So this is, and just because you care about these issues doesn't make you sexist or racist.
Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of like this lady. Imagine a Democrat saying something that's just common sense. But, of course, common sense is kind of controversial in the Democrat Party right now. Even Adam Schiff admitted the entire Democrat Party bears the blame for Harris's loss. Schiff, the guy who spent years spinning conspiracy theories about Donald Trump, is finally owning up to their failures. He said, myself included, acknowledging the fact that the message is wrong, that they're selling something that Americans don't want to buy, which is leaving the Democrat Party scrambling to figure out what went wrong. But Li's got the answers. They need to listen to this young lady. She says the party's out of touch with what real Americans care about. And it's not complicated. Americans care about putting food on the table, sending their kids to good schools, and having strong borders. You can just sum it up with that. And that's the message we sent on November the 5th. And just because you care about those things doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a racist. Doesn't make you a sexist. It makes you a normal, rational human being, a normal American human being. And get this, while some Harris aides are suggesting that she could take a break, set up some entity to keep her options open, and wait for a vacuum to fill, I don't think there's a vacuum going to be coming along for Kamala Harris. America isn't waiting for Kamala Harris. America has spoken loud and clear. We're moving on. We're done with the failed policies and the delusions that Ms. Li talked about. So while the Democrats are in the meltdown mode, the rest of us are focused on reality. Bread and butter, strong borders, telling the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it makes the left feel. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.